Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Shane's Squirrel Shack, where we talk about autism awareness and all of that. And today, I want to talk about something that I still kind of struggle with to this day, and that's telling people that I am autistic. Funny enough, I make YouTube videos on the regular talking about my daily life and experiences as a high-functioning autistic. So, why is it easy for me to get in front of the camera and talk to you guys about it on a weekly basis, but I have a hard time telling someone face to face that I'm autistic? And a lot of that is this made up anxiety that I have made, but it is an anxiety and it is something worth exploring. And that the core is I'm afraid of the future of that given relationship, whether it's a friend, whether it's a coworker, an employer. These are all environments where that conversation can easily come up. So I want to kind of talk about, my experience with, having that conversation with someone at work that I'm autistic. And, those who are watching this who are managers or those who are in a position of leading a team, all I ask, maybe take a couple notes from someone who struggles to have these conversations with someone in your position. And a lot of that comes down to, I'm usually in a position or have a job where, and I'm very goal oriented. I have, I set expectations and goals, and I want to move up in a company. I want to work hard. I'm a hard worker, and I want to be able to lead a team, kind of make decisions on what kind of happens. And I think that'd be the coolest thing. However, my disability does kind of get in the way of that. I have quirks that come out at work. Sometimes you can say my autism shines. And I'm not afraid to say that it shines because it's me and who I am and me and full me. But that can kind of come off as off-putting for, I think, someone who's trying to look at potential employees who are going to move up the ladder. And sometimes for me, it's, sometimes I get really anxious when I don't know what to do in a situation where my routine is off or, something, there might be overstimulation, maybe there's too much going on, maybe something that I thought I was going to do is not going to be the case anymore. And it's important, I find it very, very important to have those conversations with your management, with, an employer, whatever that might be for you. But I get scared because is that going to create a better form of communication where we can talk about, hey, these are my needs when I'm in this situation? Or is it going to be off-putting to them where they're like, we'll just keep him on the payroll because we can't discriminate and, we need the bodies. Yeah, man. So that's where my mind goes. It goes in all those directions. And I've had, fortunately, some very positive conversations about it. When I worked at a restaurant, I worked at Olive Garden. I had one of the coolest bosses in the world, and we sat down. I talked about it because there were moments where it was really coming out at work, and he was just like, "Let's go through this. If I can be any help, let me know." Don't remember how the exact conversation went. It was a long time ago, but he's one of the coolest dudes, and if you're watching this, I really appreciate what you've done and an impact that you left in my life. So if you're watching this, thank you. And I've luckily had another situation, and I might have touched up on this in an older video when I started the Squirrel Shack, and that is when I was at my previous job, and I told my boss that I'm autistic. Sometimes the reason why I possess this behavior and I get nervous in this and I struggle to take instructions and complete this task, this is why. And she was like, what can I do to help? How can I help? And, I explained to her, when I'm in these moments that just let me take a breather, let me cool off. Sometimes that's all it is. And again, if you're in a place where you are in that position where you are in management or, you lead a team and someone like me comes up to you and has that conversation, all I ask is just, listen to the case. Like, hey, so give me a couple examples of, what kind of happens when you kind of go into those moments. And, obviously be like, if you don't want to go into details, don't. But offer that extended communication saying, hey, I'm listening to you. What can I do to make your experience better? And how can I help you learn, And I'm very fortunate that at this last job I had that. And I actually had a coworker whose child was autistic. And we would talk about a lot of that. And she actually didn't know I was well, she knew, but she never made it clear until one day she's like, Shane, are you autistic? Yes. I didn't even pause. And my boss hears us talking about it, and she's like, Shane, I'm so happy you're able to be confident and, being willing to talk about this. And honestly, that's kind of what got me going again with the Squirrel Shack. But, I'm gonna shift focus into like a social setting now. Why is it scary for me to talk to people, like maybe my peers, that I'm autistic? And I get scared that people like don't want to hang around people with disabilities. But then again, it's just middle school. Even if that's in middle school and you're in middle school watching this, I hope that's not the case for you guys anymore, man. Like, middle school is a tough time for all of us. But, especially as a young adult, just trying to find your group, find your niche, kind of find, a group or, people to surround yourself around. It is anxiety-ridden when that kind of time comes up, when maybe your quirks shine a little bit or your autism shines a little bit, and you don't know how to explain it when those moments come out. It's like, oh, I just play it. I would play it off as just being really awkward, and I could be an awkward nut sometimes. Like, oh my gosh, for those who know me, yeah. And if you couldn't get the hint from these videos, now you do. But I'm fortunate to have people in my life who accept me even though I have this disability, and I have some who support me, pushing me to do this channel and be an advocate and bring awareness towards, this. And, I just get scared, especially meeting new people. Like, is my autism gonna shine too soon? Is it gonna be off-putting? How can I play cool? And there's just all these little scenarios that play in your head, and it snowballs into anxiety. And that's when it comes out, is when you let those anxieties, those irrational thoughts take over you, and that's when it really comes out. Then again, I do have anxiety that I think a lot comes from this, but, same thing. Another thing, I get nervous of is, I hate going in this direction. I hope I don't sound petty, guys. But when it comes to like meeting, I'm straight. When I'm meeting girls and all of that, it's like, if I tell them they're autistic, that's gonna be a turnoff. They're gonna think I'm like Forrest Gump or Rain Man or something. That I can't engage in any romantic or whatever relationship. That I just can't. And fortunately, again, I think that stigma's being removed, because I hear people saying, oh, my girlfriend's autistic or my boyfriend's autistic. And I'm like, hey, autistics can be in relationships too. That's cool. But I get scared crapless when I have to, if that would ever come around. And I never really even told anybody that I had seen in the past that I was autistic. And, I think that kind of communication would have been beneficial. But, it is what it is. It's, this irrational anxiety that I have. And I hope that I'm wrong on a lot of these irrational thoughts. But, especially in the social world, when you were trying to find that outlet that you go to, release, this other part of you. You have work, you have this, and that. But a social outlet's really important. And I know that's not the case for every autistic. A lot of autistics I know like this space. They like being alone. They like their distance. Me, I'm a social butterfly, man. I love being out. I love hanging out with people. I love being around things. And even though sometimes I'm in an overstimulated situation, again, like I've said in previous videos, I look at it as therapy and an opportunity. So, man, I lost my train of thought. We need to be more open in having these conversations for autistics and non-autistics, people who are on the listening end of it. I ask those who are in a position when their friend or someone is telling them that they are autistic. I make music and stuff. Yeah, man. But autistic, it's like, how can we have this conversation? Again, kind of like the workplace thing. How can I help? How can I be a resource? What can I do when you're in these situations? Help me recognize when you're in this situation, when you just need, that extra support. Like, hey, do you need to go outside for a second? Do you need to breathe? Do you need to talk it out? what's going on. Ask what you can do. Listen to their needs. You know, it's like anyone with a mental illness or a physical incapability. What can I do to make it easier for you, to help understand you? And it's until we can have these conversations and not look at it as, ooh, they're autistic, they're weird. Believe me, I know. I know I'm weird. Don't remind me. Then I feel like we can make progress and, we can be a better resource to those who are autistic and, make the world spin a little easier for all of us. And that's where I'm going to leave it in today's video. I hope you got something out of it. And as always, thank you for hanging out in the Squirrel Shack. And we'll be back. Thank you.